Car brands and manufacturers mean so many different things to different people. Take Volvo for instance, always known as the old man's car, and everyone refers to, oh yeah, my dad had one of those. But since Geely bought the company in 2010, things are really changing. Take this, the second generation XC90 SUV as a starter. Well, you certainly wouldn't call it old manish anymore with these striking new modern looks. It's cooler than IKEA with more street cred than Ibrahimovic. The second generation XC90 is available with a choice of 3 engines, 1 petrol, 1 diesel and a hybrid, and is available in 6 trim levels. Prices start from £48,655. Now all models come with an electronic tailgate and 7 seats. Now that leaves you 345 litres of capacity, which is about the same size as a Super Mini. However, if you don't need the 7 seats, pull that lever, drop it forward and there's acres of room. The only problem I would say is because of the shape of the top of the seats, it doesn't fit flush with the second row, so things can get lost in between the seats and the boot. However, the boot is a good size. The lip feels a little bit high, but you can press this button and lower it down quite significantly so you can sit and put your wellies on. Here's a boot divider. There's some underfloor storage, a couple of bag hooks either side, and a recessed tray on the right. In the back you get these 3 individual set seats which are half leather, and there's plenty of room around. You get acres of leg and knee room and decent headroom. You can also tilt the seats to your desired angle and slide them back and forward. Now that's very key when you want to get people in the boot. This model gets 4-zone climate control, so you can set your own personal temperature. There's a small door bin, and this armrest folds down to unveil 2 cup holders. But you get a nice view out here. It's stadium seating, so you're a little bit higher, and with the sunroof it really does make it feel airy. So let's check out that 3rd row of seats. Well, if I wanted to go all the way forward, I'd still have enough knee room if there was someone taller in the back, but to play devil's advocate, we're going to go about halfway. To pull the seat forward, there's a lever on top, and that tilts and slides it forward to create an absolutely huge opening. So as I'm in, again, it's in individual seats, which are actually very comfortable. They're squeezed into the middle of the car, so again, you get a great view out. Pull this seat back, and it's on my knees. So I've gone devil advocate, that middle position. So if you want an adult in the back, you will need to push that all the way forward. Also, my headroom's a little bit restricted. So really, this is suitable for youngsters up to about 12, 13 years old. But they do get their own cup holders, a little side tray, and some nice supportive seats. Now that premium quality is really felt in here. It's sumptuous and ultra modern. The dash is dominated by a 9-inch touchscreen, and that controls everything from air conditioning to your music, sat nav, even how much you want the battery to charge. The cabin is covered in soft touch plastics or wrapped in leather, whilst this Swedish crystal gear selector is a really classy touch, as is the turning dial for the start stop and the wheel for the drive select mode. The aluminium drill trim is absolutely beautiful and actually looks slightly different from different angles that you look at. There's also plenty of room, as you'd probably expect, with this huge door bin. I've got a little storage tray there. That slides back for 3 cup holders, and there's another little tray ahead, whilst in the middle there's a decent sized storage bin with 2 USB ports. The glove box opens by this button, which is a fantastic touch and very Jaguar until they replaced it, to unveil a good size glove box. The chairs are electrically operated with 3 memory settings and can adjust for height, tilt, lumbar support, and you can even electrically adjust your knee cushion. In the lowest seating position, I've got decent headroom, even with the sunroof in place. Today we're testing the T8 in R design trim, so you get a leather perforated steering wheel and these half nubuck leather sport seats. The steering wheel has excellent tilt and adjust support, so most people should be able to find a comfortable driving position in here. But let's get this on the road and see what it's like to drive. So the corners of the design and interior doesn't stop there. The T8 has got 2 engines and can be plugged into the electricity. It's a plug-in hybrid. It's got a 2-litre petrol which powers the front wheels, a supercharger and a turbocharger whacked on for good measure, whilst an electric motor sitting on the rear axle powers the rear wheels, giving this 4-wheel drive when required. And then to store all the electric power is a 65 kilowatt battery. Now those two power units combine to produce 401 brake horsepower and 472 pound-feet of torque. That'll then get this from 0 to 62 miles an hour in 5.6 seconds. Now officially this has got a 26-mile range on electric power only, but let me tell you, it took me 2 hours 35 minutes to charge the battery fully, and then that showed me I had just 20 miles of range. However, I only had it in hybrid mode, which means it's combining with the petrol engine, and after 25 miles there was no electric range at all. More troubling for me though, it got nowhere near the 134.5 claimed miles per gallon. Now that's a real headline figure, and if you're going to get nowhere near it, it's a little bit troubling. I was driving particularly slowly, doing 30, 40, 50 miles an hour zones, and it only returned 82 miles per gallon with the battery fully charged. However, when the vehicle arrived, it had no charge at all, and going in and out of London on motorways and other trips, I only got 28 miles per gallon out of it. Now the real problem with plug-ins is you've got to make sure that electric battery is charged up. The 45 grams per kilometre here, which qualifies for a 5% benefit in kind tax banding, which is brilliant for company car users, really only is relevant if that's the case. Otherwise you're just running a petrol large SUV, which is nowhere near that, but you're still getting the tax benefits. Now with all that power, the T8 really doesn't lack full grunt or any available power whenever you need it. Sink your right foot and the power's available, and it really does go. Off the line where you get all that electric motor surge, it's very, very quick. However, it's a little bit too much power going through the front wheels from the petrol engine, and it can squirm a little. There's some torque steer there, and it's just not as planted as you would particularly want. Left to its own devices, the gearbox is barely noticeable. It's almost as though the T8 runs in electric mode all the time. However, flick a paddle and it changes gears quite quickly. You can also change the regeneration mode from being in drive into B, and that just enhances braking regeneration to recharge the battery. There are also options through the touchscreen system to preserve your battery life or to use the petrol engine to recharge the battery, which seems a little bit counterintuitive. With the regeneration going through the brake pedal, there's not a lot of feel to the braking, so you can sort of have nothing, and then it all snatches. This model's got the optional air suspension. In certain situations, it's very comfortable. However, I found it just a little bit too wallowy, pitching from front to side, back to forth. It's not the nicest experience. However, put it on a motorway or a smooth A road and it's very creamy with its ride and very comfortable. Where it is let down is through the corners. It's very hesitant. You struggle to take the line round and you'll find yourself cutting the corner just to avoid some of that wallowy pitch. However, there is salvation at hand as Volvo offer a drive mode system, and whilst on the face of it, it looks all to do with the power output, it's not. So push the drive mode wheel and it comes up with choices for all-wheel drive, so you can go permanent 4x4. Then there's pure, which is eco mode and drives just off battery power alone. Hybrid mode combines the petrol and electric motor for best economy. Power mode optimizes performance with using both motors. Then you've got off-road ability and an individual setting. Now they all have independent settings for the gearbox, the performance, the steering and suspension. I found an individual mode and set it up just how it suits me. So I've got it in hybrid mode with medium weighted steering, but with the sport suspension. And that just makes it feel a lot more settled a lot more of the time. So still the bigger bumps are dealt with well, and as in any mode, the smaller, sharper undulations still send a bit of a shock through the cabin, but it's cut out all that pitch and rolling and stays a lot flatter. In hybrid mode, the steering's not particularly enjoyable for me. It feels like it's got two rubber bands either side of the wheel, trying to constantly pull the wheel back to being straight. However, change it to sport mode or into the individual mode and it becomes much better weighted, much more consistent and enjoyable. adding to that comfortable ride on the motorway is a beautiful refinement. There's very little noise coming in. There's a little bit of road noise and very little wind noise. It's a beautiful place to really while away the hours. The XC90's got a high up commanding driving position, which is great for seeing over hedges and above cars ahead. However, to get to know the dimension of the car is quite difficult. It's a big vehicle. The front of the car's somewhere in that direction, but I can't quite see it as the bonnet slopes away, so it's quite hard to judge where that front bumper is. This side pillar's pretty thick, and over the shoulder view to the rear is all but useless as the headrests block out the rear window, so you can't really see a thing. Well, the XC90 really has shown what an exciting future Volvo has. As a vehicle, it's luxurious inside, it looks phenomenal. I'm not too keen on that wallowy ride, but overall, it's a very, very good vehicle. The T8 engine is a masterpiece of technology, but make sure you keep that battery fully charged. Check out the website for the full review of the XC90. Let us know in the comment section below what you think of the new Volvo, and do subscribe to the channel for free.